Smiths plc is a global technology company with over 23,000 employees worldwide. They're very good at developing talent and tying individual growth to company growth and profit. They needed a completely bespoke web application for their senior leaders' annual performance and review process, which is where Urban Ellen came in back in 2006, and we've been supporting and developing ever since. So we know a fair bit about Smiths by now.
For us, I think it was a lot about updating a system that was already quite good. I mean, we've been using the same system for about 6 years. And I think in terms of what Smiths wanted in performance reviews, it was quite important for us to sort of do something more modern. And I think things have moved on quite a bit in terms of web design. And what we were looking for mostly, I think, was to have something that was quite simple to navigate. Because a lot of our managers struggle sometimes with the process. So we wanted something that was really easy for them to actually navigate themselves without always having to be trained. Because of course, quite often they're only using the system once a year, maybe twice a year at the most. And therefore something that's really intuitive, something that's easy for them to navigate through the different parts of the process was probably one of the first things that we wanted. We also wanted something where it was quite easy for them to be able to look at the screen and see what they'd done. At the time, our system was a little bit more difficult. You had to actually go into different parts of the system before you could see what you'd actually done. What we wanted was something that literally could go on a page and see, where you'd got to in the system. I think also in terms of some of the things we had changed in our own processes, particularly for our very senior managers, we wanted to be able to reflect those in a performance system. So we've done some different things in terms of how we assess people, and our system no longer matched what we were doing. So the other things we wanted to be able to do were quite, I think for a system, quite difficult to have, which is we wanted to put in a 9-box assessment tool. We wanted to be able to reflect levels of competency within the system, which the system currently at the time didn't. It was just an assessment against the competencies. And probably most importantly, we wanted a 360 tool that was actually embedded in the system, whereas before we had a 360 that was separate. It was a separate document, and it wasn't integrated. So those were the sort of the key things we wanted to do. We wanted to make it easier for our line managers to navigate the process themselves. I think in total it exceeded our expectations. We were a little bit concerned in terms of whether, because it would be completely different whether managers could navigate it themselves and how easy it would be to train it out. But what we got was excellent, and I think I've had a lot of comments since from senior people to say that actually it's probably one of the best systems they've seen. And we're pretty proud of what we've put together, obviously with Urban Ellen's help. And I think particularly for us it is around the ability to have put all those things into the system, bespoke things. So we've now got a system that reflects the way we want to do performance reviews versus actually here's a tool that already exists and you can add little bits or you can tweak the way it looks. The system is actually absolutely the way we want to, for the look and feel and the process itself. So the final document now is exactly what I would have wanted. We have all those elements. There's a page where you can just see where you are in terms of your progress. It's all on one page, and you can click into different parts of your document from one front page. The 9-box grid looks great, and that's even better than I hoped, because we now have little pins, a pin for the line manager and a pin for the individual. So visually, it's great. And also the 360 now, instead of being a separate document, the system actually gets the 360 to be embedded into it. So when you print the document off, there's the words from the recipients in terms of the people who've asked for feedback from in a box. And then you've got the line manager's comments and your comments, so it's all in one document as a live document. So yeah, I think it's exceeded our expectations. I think it is interesting. I think for me it is very much about the flexibility. about having something that is bespoke to what you want, what your business requires, rather than, you know, perhaps having things that are slightly off the shelf. Or so, you know, what I want from a provider like that is somebody who is flexible, who listens to what it is we want to get from a system, you know, and who designs something that is exactly matching what you've asked for, rather than, as I said before, something where, you know, maybe there's a sort of set way of doing it and you can play with the parameters, but you can't have what you want, exactly what you want. And for me also, I think one of the beauties of using Urban Elements for me is that they're not just, for me, not just web designers. Certainly the contacts that I have in the business understand the HR process enough for me to be able to just brief them and say, look, this is the issue we have, this is what we want. 360 was a good example. We want to get 360 into the system, but we don't want it separate. We want it to be open and honest. We want it to actually embed in the system. And that's what, you know, what we designed and put together. And the next stage for us is a really good example, because now it does everything that we wanted. We tested it last year, and the feedback from all the managers has been really good. But the next stage is that we're saying, well, actually, now we've got the 9-box grid and we have, you know, a couple of pins in there, that's great. But we'd like to sometimes be able to override that, so literally, you know, drag a pin somewhere else. Okay, so I brief Urban Elements and I talk about, you know, I don't know if it's possible, but this is what we'd like to do. And what I like about them, it isn't just they start to talk in technical terms about the website. There is a discussion around, well, okay, why do you want to do that? You know, what's the process behind it? You know, what instances may a manager want to do that? So there's an understanding of the whole performance process. And then I can trust them to go away and design something that fits with that, rather than they're playing with a design of a website. There's an understanding, I think, on their side in terms of what it is as a business we really want to get from it. So I can trust them. We haven't finished it yet, but I trust them to go away and come back and say, right, this is the way you could do it.